Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with daily technical update. It is Thursday, the 30th of October, and this video is for educational only. There's no recommendation or advice whatsoever intended. So let's start with Alphabet that published earnings after market yesterday, and that resulted in the stock price pushing to 288.5. So yes, even higher than the close of yesterday, a new massive all-time highs. Let's see, I think we will see some profit taking when the actual market, when the normal market opens later today. And remember, US is still on summertime. Here in Europe, or in EU, it will open at 2:30. Not much to say about that. Really massive gap. The other big ones not really has moved much. Amazon slightly bullish. The Nvidia closed 3.3% higher yesterday, so that was also a fairly strong move, but seems to be stretched a little bit. So that will be key to watch. I generally think that we will see a bit of a correction in the stock market here towards the end of the month, last day of the month, tomorrow, which is Friday also, and so end of the week, end of the month, and earnings season still kicking in. There are some companies also reporting today, so we could expect some volatility, but I think we will see a little bit of a setback here towards the end of the week, maybe early next week, and then we are in November, where there could also be a little bit of volatility. The pre-market slightly higher there on Nasdaq, obviously, let's have a look at the S&P 500. You can see they actually closed slightly lower yesterday, but with so little, so by basically unchanged. Also a little bit stressed there. The Dow Jones also a little bit negative note, but could be lifted a little bit today. But in general, I think we are in for a little bit of a correction here in the coming going into next week. The Russell 2000, I'm squeezing that in because that was actually down 0.75% yesterday. And look at this, if it does close a little bit lower here on the weekly, well, then it has formed a top and reversal, a bearish engulfing pattern. The Hang Seng Index, again, today tried to break the 26,559, and it couldn't do that. What I would actually do, because let's do round numbers, so here still in this really 26,560, really can't break it at the moment. It needs to do that to establish a bullish trend. The Nikkei, if it wants to come out for all the way from Japan, I don't know why my internet maybe is slow this morning, I can't say, but Nikkei once again pushing higher here, the Nikkei future once again. So it is eyeing 52,000. It's not far away from it actually. So I think we could be touching that. A really strong move indeed, steep and very stretched, I will say. The RSI is showing some divergence, and we are stretched also in Nikkei. So I think we could maybe touch 52,000 and then set back. The EUROStoxx50 didn't do much yesterday, and it has just opened, as you can see here, setting back a little bit. We had a bit of a shooting star-like pattern. I'm not quite sure it was completed. It should be 3 times. Yeah, 3 times. So it's shooting star-like. So we could see a little bit of a setback here on the EUROStoxx50. Let's see, a little bit of support there, 56.75, but not much to talk of. The DAX index, once again, as you can see here, being rejected here at 24,340. That is key. It needs to close above to really confirm a bullish trend, but for now it seems like it's really failing that. It can't do it. So that's what you want to look out for. So if it starts pushing back below 24,000, well, then we could see a downtrend resuming. Euro dollar, rejected at the falling trend line there and the 100 moving average and the cloud again. We should see it try to push down here towards 115, and it needs to get back 117.30 to establish a bullish trend. Cable or sterling dollar got smashed again yesterday, and it got down to the 131.40. As we talked about, I expected 132, but it also could spike down, and it did to this level, and now it bounces. However, this is not the strongest support, so we could actually see sterling dollar a little bit low. You can see here, that's what it is. We could be looking at 130 if it takes out the lows from yesterday, but I think we will try to bounce a little bit here. We still have the 200 moving average coming up, so it's tracking on a little bit. So a little bit of a correction. And what I would do if I was trading this, I'm not, but if I was trading this, then we could see a little bit of bounce up to 132.67, maybe 133.5 area. Euro sterling spiked higher yesterday, but sat back a little bit, but now it seems to be coming again, and it is has its eyes on 88.25, possibly higher. If we're looking at the weekly, we can see it's really pushing higher towards this region there. Up here in the region around 89, and I think that's where we are headed in the coming weeks. There's no divergence on the daily RSI, and the weekly RSI is just a slightly divergence, could easily be cancelled. Dollar yen also pushed higher, took out its peak there at 153.25, pushing higher. I think we'll see it up to 154.80 in this region. So let me just zoom out a little bit, if you will. So first this Fibonacci projection 138.2, that is 154.80, and then also the latest little correction there. Well, then we are also in that region here, 154.40, 154, just below 155, 155 there. So that seems to be where we're heading. So higher highs, high lows, higher highs, and so on, pushing higher positive sentiment on the RSI, and it is pointing that direction. Same picture really. Well, Euro yen also pushing towards 180. We could 161.8 projection is just below 180, and it is pushing really strongly higher there, and no divergence on the RSI, so it seems to be headed higher. Aussie yen, more or less the same picture. We have some peaks here back from, when is that, earlier this year. No, that was last year, about a year ago. Sorry about that. That was last year at 102.40, and that could be where we are headed at the moment. 138.2 projection of this large correction there is 102.74. So in this region, we could see it spike up to that here in the coming weeks. Positive sentiment, no divergence, indicating a likely move to that region there. The sterling yen, well, it dipped just a few pips below the previous dip there, and then bounced. So now I think we could see a push up to the 204.32 area where we have this peak here. If it takes it out, well, then it is also back in a strong bullish trend towards the previous peak there from 2004 at just above 208. Moving on to Aussie dollar, spiked higher yesterday but couldn't stay above 60.60, and RSI also got rejected there at 60 threshold. Let's just zoom in a little bit, and see, still in the cloud. So little bit of murky picture. Yes, it has broken out of this range here, but it needs to get above 66.30 here to really establish a bullish trend, and RSI needs to close above 60 threshold really to confirm that. I think it will play out eventually. It's just a question of time, so keep an eye on it. It could certainly move again. Dollar Canada dipped to the 55 moving average, just below 50% of this uptrend there, and then has bounced, and I think that could be it Normally, I would have thought we could dip to the 61.8 retracement there at 138.60. But it didn't, and now I think it will bounce back here and resume uptrend. Still positive sentiment on the RSI. I still think we will see it pushing higher here, but it will not be a sprint. It will probably be a slow move higher. However, if it takes out the lows from yesterday, well, then expect the push down to around 138.60, possibly lower. Sterling Canada. Well, it did take out this after 2 days of selling and bouncing a little bit. We got almost down to 183, 183.23 to be exact. So really turned the tide there. And let's have a look at what the weekly says, more or less. So next could be these lows here around 182. I'm not sure we'll get there. I think we will see a little bit of a bounce here, possibly up to 185, and then maybe another push, but let's see about that. But there are some overhead resistance in this area also, with the cloud lower part being there, and we can see 55 turning around. So it's not going to make a new high anytime soon, that's for sure. Well, there's nothing certainty about this, but still. Euro Swiss now taking back 50% of this down move here. We could see it pushing up to 93.10 to 61.8 retracement, and then it might be it, because then we have the 55 and 100 moving coming down here, and the 55 actually broke below the 100 moving average there, so we have a bit of a death cross there. So upside is likely to be limited, and there's still negative sentiment on the RSI. I think we will see a setback. If it takes out the lows from yesterday, well, then expect 92 being tested. Dollar Swiss bounce from this minor support there at 79.25. That is the key support. If it takes out that, then expect a bearish trend to be established. Excuse me. But we can see here yesterday it bounced up to the almost the 786 at 80, but at 80.30. But didn't get all the way there. Could still do it. We have a slight positive sentiment on the RSI, but it's not really, I mean, in the bigger picture, we are basically just range bound here between 78.70 and 80.75. And let's have a look at the weekly. If that gives us any guidance, well, in the bigger picture there, we are actually still bearish, and this is not much of a move. But keep an eye on, if it takes out the peak from yesterday, well, then we could actually see it pushing all the way up to the 80.75 there. It closed below the cloud. So I would say a bit of neutral. I would be cautious for this. Maybe it's forming a bit of a triangle-like pattern, but it's not that clear. The dollar index, I think it will test the 99.31 peak there. Positive sentiment on the RSI. I still believe we will see a push up to around 100 as long as we stay above 97.80. And I think we will do that. You see the 55 and 100 giving some support down here. We are above the cloud, so a push up there. And then we have the 200 coming down. They're kind of putting a lid on it. The gold spot here, well, it didn't sell off as much as I expected, and maybe it could bounce a little bit, but it's not clear. I mean, we are still in a bearish correction there. There is some minor support here around 38.80, 85, but if it takes out the lows there from a couple of days ago at 3,886, well, then we could see a push down to around 3750, 3700 in this minor consolidation area down here. If we are having a quick look at the future, more or less the same picture, you can see we have a bit of a support there. It's not that strong really, it's just where we had a little bit of sideways trading, so there is a little bit of consolidation going on in this region here around 38.42 and up to where we were this morning, 39.22. So let's see. However, I think if it takes out yesterday's peak there at 4,046, well, then I think we'll see maybe a correction pushing higher. So keep an eye on that. If you do that, and if you're following it, then let's have a look at. Then we could add Fibonacci to these levels there and maybe have a push up to 4,200. Silver actually formed a kind of a bottom and reversal pattern here. We have a bearish move there, and then we have this doji light there where it's shooting lower and then come back, and then a little bit of a bullish candle there yesterday. And so we have a bit of a doji morning like pattern here, which is a bottom and reversal. Let's see about that. So we could actually see a bounce. Still positive sentiment on the R side, despite the fact that there was some divergence there. But if it takes out the lows there from 28 at 45.50, well, then expect a push down to around 43.65, 43 area. But for now, I think we could see a bounce maybe up to 50, possibly higher. Here also the future, not exactly the same picture. It's actually slided back there. So, but still had this shooting down there. So keep an eye on what's going on. Will it take out the lows from the 2 days ago or not? The platinum here, well, needs to get back above 1663 or below 1494. I think we could be caught range bound here. I think we will see it bouncing back there. I don't think it will take out the lows there. We have the 55 moving average coming up. The copper keeping itself above 515. If it really can close above 526, well, then it will have established further confirmed a bullish trend. So let's just add a horizontal line there. You see it just spiked above there yesterday, but it didn't close above. On the energy market, well, on the energy market, we have the WTI crude oil. I think we will see it sliding lower here in the coming days, as I mentioned a couple of times. I think we'll do it eventually. Negative sentiment on the RSI, still bearish trend. Same on the Brent Crude. You see again yesterday tested $64. I think if it takes out yesterday's low there, then we will see a sell-off coming in. The European nat gas still is range bound with a bearish undertone, but still range bound, so not much to talk about. The US nat gas, on the other hand, yeah, it's pausing a little bit after this massive move there on the other day. I could push up to $4, and I think it will do that. And then another setback. Let's see if it can actually stay up there and close above. I would not be a heavy customer in US if I was a nat gas user or consumer. Moving on to the treasury yields after FOMC yesterday, where the Fed lowered the interest rate or cut the interest rate once again by 25 basis points. So we had a move yesterday here on the 10-year, actually higher, and now we are at the 61.8 retracement of this downtrend there at 408. We talked about yesterday could happen, and I wouldn't be surprised if we're actually shooting up to 412. But then we have some strong resistance with the 55 moving average coming down, also cloud area. So I'm not quite sure. It might shoot up there and then sit back. The European yields, and here we are, that bounced yesterday. As we can see, the EU 10-year shot up to 265 here early morning, set back a little bit. If it takes out the peak here from today, then expect to move up to 268. But for now, it's pausing a little bit. If it slides back below 260, well, then it could find itself down here in this region again at 256, 254. UK bouncing a little bit. They should be a little bit happy in UK with all the crisis going on, that the US the 10-year is not that high, but the 30-year also a little bit lower. So maybe they're being saved. I have no idea why that is. That it's still such a low level. Anyway, the Japanese 10-year still in this bullish trend as long as it stays above 161. Finally, cryptos, of course, can't make up its mind. and it needs to get back above 160,410 to really establish a bullish trend, and for now it hasn't done that, so now it's just in a wait and see mode, basically trading range bound. Ethereum still 42.82, that is the key resistance for a bullish trend, and to the downside, yeah, 3,500. All right, that's all for today. Have a nice day and talk to you again tomorrow.